Climate change's devastation is hitting us today, from extreme weather to rising seas. And if we want to stop this devastation, we have to stop the world from heating, which means we have to stop burning fossil fuels. So how do we stop burning fossil fuels? Well, now new research is revealing what we're doing that's already working and what we could do to build unstoppable momentum towards our carbon-free future. I'm Adam, a climate scientist with a PhD from Oxford, sharing what you need to know about climate change. And today I want to talk about how we stop climate change. In this video, I don't want to discuss the end goal, stopping emitting, or the technical steps, getting rid of fossil fuels and building up clean energy, because honestly, I've spoken about both these topics loads already. I want to focus on how we can actually get our societies to take these steps. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we are not on track. The world is emitting billions of tons more greenhouse gases than it should be, and we're heading for an overwhelming 3 degrees Celsius by the end of this century. That would smash through our heating limits, keeping warming to under 2 or ideally just 1.5 degrees Celsius. And the more we heat the planet, the more homes are inundated by rising seas, the more lives are lost to devastating disasters, and the more people struggling to get enough water or enough food. So back to that question, how do we stop climate change? And 2 studies have just come out to help us answer it. One looks at what's actually worked in the past, and another has reflected on what could build unstoppable momentum in the future. So let's look back to the past first. Now, this paper looked at over 1,500 policy measures across the past 20 years, covering countries in 6 continents. So they couldn't be bothered to analyze Antarctica. This seems unusually late to introduce the quizzical character. Well, better late than never, which is kind of the climate action catchphrase. Let's get back to the study. The researchers wanted to know which of the 1,500 policies actually lowered emissions. But surely analysing 1,500 individual policies would take forever. Isn't there a way they could get a machine to learn to do it instead? So the researchers used machine learning to do it. Okay, that figures. Using this artificial intelligence technique, they could look for cases where emissions actually dipped. Then the researchers could work back from these dips and find the policies that caused them. And the first result is that there were actually cases when emissions dipped. Really? Because it feels like we're making zero progress towards net zero. Yeah, well, I definitely get this feeling because we for sure are not making enough progress. But we are for sure making progress. In fact, another study recently showed that high CO2 emissions scenarios are, thankfully, now impossible because of progress in climate tech and economics. Okay, so great. Some climate policies have actually worked to cut emissions, but which? Well, out of the 1,500 policy adoptions, the study found large emissions reductions in 69 cases. Don't say it. Seriously, don't say it. Because there's nothing nice about the fact that there were just 69 cases leading to large emissions reductions. Okay, yeah, that isn't great. But why did these policies succeed where hundreds of others failed? Well, the study found that combinations of policies are much more effective than stand-alone policies, which makes sense, right? We humans often need multiple motivators when we want to change our habits. Like quitting smoking by reminding yourself how much cigarettes suck, but also by giving yourself little treats to congratulate yourself on kicking the habit. And that's what we see in a lot of these climate policy combinations. So Norway managed to lower transport emissions by banning combustion engines and actively making electric cars cheaper. So reminding drivers that fossil fuels suck and giving a little treat for clean alternatives. But wait, Norway is banning combustion engine cars? That would never work in my country. Funny you should say that, because the study also found that what works in one country might not work in another. Take the power sector. In richer countries, policies that make dirty energy harder to make and sell are best at lowering emissions. But in poorer countries, making clean energy cheaper with subsidies was most successful. Okay, so this study showed that some policies worked and others didn't. But how is that helpful? It's helpful because now countries can make sure they implement policies that will actually work. And that could help us get emissions cuts on track. But there's another crucial part of the equation for getting us on the right future path. Society. You mean like us? Right. And the other study is all about us and the tipping elements that could help save the day. Oh, I've heard of tipping elements. Oh, wait, aren't they really bad? Well, yeah, in climate science, we often talk about tipping elements or tipping points. These are points of no return where we push the climate so far that it suddenly tips into a different state and can't be brought back, at least not easily. For example, the vast ocean circulation in the Atlantic could switch off, or the Amazon rainforest could lose its ability to function as a rainforest. Okay, so how on earth could that help save the day? Well, what if there weren't just tipping points for the planet, but also for us people? What if we could build up enough momentum for social dynamics that those tipped, starting an unstoppable, irreversible path towards a cleaner future? I'm guessing those questions are kind of the point of the study. Yep, which it answered by surveying over 100 experts. The study looked at what we could do, the interventions that could achieve these tipping elements. The researchers called these social tipping interventions, or STIs. Wait, STIs? Yup. I guess they didn't survey that 100 experts on whether phrases like STIs in the education system could be open to misinterpretation. Apparently not. Okay, well, let's get stuck into the STIs then. Please don't say that. Good call. Let's start by looking at the energy system. Even though renewables are now the cheapest form of energy ever, there's still a bunch of financial hurdles to actually making the energy transition. So shifting subsidies away from fossil fuels and towards clean energy and creating power grids for decentralized power generation could push us towards the renewables tipping point. Then there's the question of the financial system. Our financial system still invests hugely in fossil fuels. Those things that we need to leave in the ground and not burn if we're not going to overheat the planet. Yup, those things. The divestment movement can help tip the financial system. Everyone from individuals to institutions could stop investing in fossil fuels, potentially then reinvesting in projects that benefit society and the environment. And to get our society on the right path, we can start to shift our norms and values. So people seeing fossil fuels and climate change as a moral issue. Right, like the fact that fossil fuels hammer the most vulnerable with pollution and extreme weather while raking in profits for the richest. Leaders taking a moral stand on fossil fuels could shift society's values, especially spiritual leaders like Pope Francis. But wider society could also push towards this social tipping point, like young activists who see our energy system for what it is and demand change. Then there's the most important tipping point of all. Education. Is it actually the most important, or are you just saying that because you've focused your whole career on climate education? Please stick to the script. Ugh, fine. Please tell me more about the fantastic role of education. I'd love to. Education has a crucial role in social transformations, and climate change is no exception. But most climate education is patchy at best. We can build this up so we, as a society, understand the causes, impacts, and solutions to climate change. And I mean, really understand, so we can see our place in this, how climate change harms us, and how we can be a part of the solutions. And that's exactly what this channel is all about. I make these videos without product placements or monetization because I don't want to sell you all rubbish that you don't need. And honestly, that's quite hard because apparently not selling things isn't exactly the best business model. Which is why I'm incredibly grateful to my amazing team of patrons who make all of this possible. You can join them up here. But if that's not for you, all you climates who like, comment, and subscribe, you're pretty amazing too. So thank you. You're welcome. But this is the crucial takeaway from this research. we can all help. We can all push towards these social tipping points, whether it's by supporting community energy, moving our money away from fossil fuels, protesting for a more just energy system, or helping spread reliable climate information, like from climate scientists with PhDs from Oxford sharing what you need to know about climate change. Okay, sure, I'm posting now. And it's not just that our individual action can help tip us to a climate-friendlier society. It's also that these actions feed back on each other. Like better education can help shift our values, which would make it easier to remove fossil fuel subsidies and investments, which helps cities to decarbonize. I'm liking these kinds of tipping points and feedbacks. When we think about climate change, it's easy to feel disheartened. After all, climate change is this huge structural problem which requires huge structural solutions. It can feel like nothing is being done and that we individuals are powerless to do anything. But these studies show that that's just not true. Countries are passing policies that are starting to bend our emissions curve, and we can all push society towards the tipping points we need to halt the heating. And the truth is that halting the heating has never been more urgent. Like coral reefs, the more we understand them, the more we understand how vital they are for us and how vulnerable they are to the heating we're throwing at them. And here's why. Okay, until next time. Bye. It might be time for a haircut when I'm inhaling my hair.